Hey, welcome back YouTubers to another Toddy Walnuts collection overview video, and this one should be fairly short in comparison to some of my epic feature-length collection overview videos. Basically all we're looking at in this video, we're going to do the Scorpion Releasing Blu-ray and DVD collection, and it's just this top shelf and this almost full second shelf, so it's not very much. So for the most part, these should be alphabetized. If one or two are out of order, please forgive me. So let's jump into it here. The first one is called Barbarossa, and this stars Willie Nelson and Gary Busey, and this is a Western movie from 1982, 90 minutes running time. I turned the flash off because it was giving me a pretty nasty glare. We'll see how it goes for a couple of pulls here, and if it doesn't get better, I'll put the flash back on. But the next one's called The Beach Girls. So the thing about the Scorpion Releasing label is they weren't really dedicated to just horror or slashers or, you know, stuff like that. There were a lot of different genres of movies, and there's a lot of comedies, a lot of sex romps and romance and action and kung fu, and yes, some horror, but there's a really good variety. This movie is from 1982, and it's 97 minutes running time. Next one's called A Candle for the Devil. Kind of a satanic themed horror movie. This one's from 1973, it looks like. 87 minutes running time. I'm gonna have to put the flash back on. That one was kind of hard to read. So I'll pause it here really quick and then we will continue. Okay, we'll give this a shot. It's either too dark or too light for me. There's got to be a happy medium, but I think in order for me to do that, I'm gonna have to buy lights, kind of like studio lights or something like that. And I'm not sure. This is just kind of this is just low budget YouTube making for me, but we'll see. Maybe someday I'll get some kind of light just to keep the glare away. The next one is called Charlie Chan and the Curse of the Dragon Queen. Roddy McDowell, Brian Keith, Angie Dickinson, and yes, do you recognize her? Get a good look. Do you recognize her?
Look at that. A junkie. I got a fucking junkie for a wife. Don't eat nothing. Sleeps all day with them black shades on. Wakes up with a cuello. And who won't fuck me because she's in a coma.
Yes, you guessed it. That's Elvira Hancock. So give yourselves a pat on the back. And did you recognize the guy?
Hooah! Hooah! Ah!
Scusi, Colonel.
Prego. I love it when you hurt me. Hooah! Congratulations. Hooah!
Okay, the next one is The Church. This was the first edition that was released, and then some time later they released it as a collector's edition with a slipcover. I think this one was limited, but I don't remember what it was limited to. Some of them were numbered, or not these, but some of these editions were numbered, but not all of the limited editions were numbered, if that makes sense. You'll see when I come across the ones that are numbered, I'll show you. Next one's called City on Fire. This one has Leslie Nielsen, Henry Fonda, Shelley Winters, Ava Gardner. What a cast. This was back well before Leslie Nielsen was playing his comedic roles. He was a pretty serious actor. Next one's called Curse 3, Blood Sacrifice, Christopher Lee. Next one is a drive-in classic, VHS rental classic, Day of the Animals, Christopher George, Leslie Nielsen again. And Linda Day was in here. She's Linda Day George on this billing here. That was Christopher George's wife. Richard Jackal was in here too. That's another great cast. And we have a couple editions here of Death Ship, Haunted Ghost Ship at Sea, and then there was a collector's edition that was released with a slipcover. That's beautiful there. George Kennedy and Richard Crenna. The next one's called The Devil Within Her, starring Joan Collins, Donald Pleasance, and Caroline Munro. Another great cast. There's one called The Dirt Bike Kid, starring Peter Billingsley. You may remember him as Ralphie from A Christmas Story. You'll Shoot Your Eye Out Kid. Red Ryder BB Gun Dude. Next one's called Dogs. I don't like to see killer dog movies because I'm a big dog lover. I don't like to see them angry or violent. The next one's called Don't Answer the Phone. Nice little suspense thriller. Don't Go in the House. Kind of a Psycho ripoff. Dr. Death. Firepower. This is more of a kind of an action movie. What a cast here, though. Sophia Loren, James Coburn, Victor Mature, Eli Wallach, even O.J. Simpson. The First Power, Lou Diamond Phillips, chasing an indestructible serial killer. Kind of a, almost a Halloween type ripoff. Next one's called Flavia the Heretic. Force 5. This is kind of a karate movie from the director and producers of Enter the Dragon. From the creators of Enter the Dragon. These movies were really popular in the 70s and 80s. Next one, when this came out, it was pretty rare. This one hadn't had a official release at the time, and they released this a beautiful Blu-ray release. As far as I know, this is the only Blu-ray release in America of that movie, Giallo in Venice. And this one came out in 1979, 99 minutes runtime. It was really rare. It sold out pretty quick, and it was going for ridiculous money on eBay. The next one is a Mike Hammer movie called The Girl Hunters, starring Mickey Spillane. Kind of a whodunit type series. Next one's called Girly. I believe this is a Australian, they call it Ozploitation, Australian horror movie. Girly. Another serial killer type movie. This is a twins, a boy and a girl, siblings, twins. I guess that's what Geminis are. The Geminis are the twins, but it's called Goodbye Gemini. And the brother and sister are murdering people. Next one's called Go Tell the Spartans with Burt Lancaster. Great cover. Burt Lancaster was a really good actor. Always enjoyed Burt Lancaster. A couple editions here of Grizzly, another kind of a drive-in style. A good double bill with Day of the Animals. That was the first release, and then they re-released it with this nice slipcover. Christopher George again, Andrew Prine. Next one's called Hardware, sci-fi horror movie. Good stuff. I recommend that one. This one's kind of a weird one. This is called Harlequin. Kind of a warlock type movie. And then the next one's called The Haunting of Morella. David McCallum, Nicole Eggert, Lana Clarkson. Okay, took a quick break to get some cold water. So now we were at Hollywood Boulevard. Hold on, let me push that one back. Hollywood Boulevard. The street where starlets are made. This is old Hollywood. This movie came out in 1976. Kind of a, I guess, sex romp type comedy movie. Next one's called The House on Sorority Row, one of the kind of killer on campus type movies. I think these are pretty fun. And this was the first release of it, and then they re-released it as more of a collector's edition with a slipcover, different artwork. Same movie, just two different covers. And the next one was called The Human Experiments. Jeffrey Lewis, great actor. I like him a lot. He's passed away now. I really enjoyed him as an actor. Here's one called Humongous. Kind of a deformed type killer on the loose. Next one is called Iron Warrior. And this is kind of a post-apocalyptic type adventure, action type movie. Here's a monster movie, creature feature called Island Claws. Definitely a drive-in style movie. Pretty fun. Not a great movie, but definitely fun. Here's kind of a period piece comedy, Joysticks. This is definitely from the 80s, I think, 1983. Right around the kind of the peak and the boom of video gaming and arcade games. This is a pretty cool movie. I like that. I like playing video games still. Next one's called Killer Fish, another monster movie. Lee Majors, Karen Black, Margot Hemingway. Creature feature monster movie. The Monster Club. Pretty awesome cast here. You have Vincent Price. You have Donald Pleasance, John Carradine, and this is a pretty fun movie. There you can see Vincent and John Carradine right there. There's Donald Pleasance right there. Pretty fun movie from 1980. The Monster Club. Another haunted sea movie, Moon in Scorpio. Pretty nice cover. You can see the clouds looking like a skull kind of looming in the background. Mortuary, haunted kind of graveyard and a funeral home. I couldn't think of it. Bill Paxton, Christopher George, Linda Day George again. It says, before your funeral, before you are buried, before you are covered with your last shovelful of dirt, be sure you are really dead. And this one came out in 1983. Look at how young our guy Bill Paxton is. He's missed. He was a great actor. I really enjoyed him as Chet in Weird Science. That was a fun role. He was good in everything he did. He was a great actor. The next one's called My Tutor, kind of a romance comedy. And we have a Paul Naschy movie, The Mummy's Revenge. See what I mean about the variety of genres in this line. It's really cool. There's a Fulci movie called Murder Rock. It's a nice slipcover. Ray Lovelock is in there. I enjoy Ray Lovelock. Nashville Girl. There's a good action movie, The Octagon. You got Chuck Norris and Lee Van Cleef. Doesn't get much action, much more action than that. Great actors. Here's Argento. Opera from 1989. I would say not one of his better ones, probably middle to lower in his catalog of movies, but it's still a pretty fun movie. And then they came out with this really beautiful collector's edition. It's a 3-disc set. It's a really thick set with a slipcover. It's really, really nice. Here's a favorite of mine. I enjoy this quite a bit. Planet of the Vampires. It's a sci-fi horror movie. Vampires in space. And the last one for the first shelf is called The Pom Pom Girls, another kind of a romance, comedy, sex romp type movie. So we will move on now to shelf 2 and the last shelf. And the next one is called The Psychic. Jennifer O'Neill. Fulci movie, 1977. By the way, there's the Scorpion logo. I like to point those out. I think logos are fun. Next one is called Puppet on a Chain. This is kind of an espionage type movie, almost sort of like a James Bond kind of feel to it. This one came out in 1971. There's another slasher movie called The Rain Killer, starring Ray Sharkey, who sadly died at a very young age of AIDS back in 1993, I believe. Here's Record City. These are pretty fun. I love these these are period pieces too. It's a comedy about a record shop, and there's really excellent music in here. The soundtrack is phenomenal. It's a pretty funny comedy. I call these period pieces because it takes you right back to the 70s, 1977. I really enjoy those kind of movies. Next one's called The Return, starring Jan Michael Vincent, Sybil Shepherd, Martin Landau, Raymond Burr. At one time, Jan Michael Vincent, the world was his oyster, and he was a very good-looking guy. He wasn't a great actor, but he was a successful actor. He got so involved in drugs that it just tore him apart, and he went blind. He lost limbs. He went from a very handsome man, and I don't judge the fellas. I'm not a homo or anything like that. It's okay for a man to admit that another man is a good-looking man, but he really destroyed himself, and he's dead now. But if you look at pictures of him, if you Google him, in his early days, he was probably one of the best-looking male actors of his time. And then if you look at like some of his after pictures, he looks like a monster. His eyes were white because he was blind, and he was missing legs and arms, and it was just, I mean, he really destroyed his career and his life. The next one's called The Rift. Sci-fi goodness here. Excellent cover. Let me tell you that the cover is better than the movie. Next one is called Rituals. This is a very good movie. It's a horror movie, a backwoods horror movie, and it feels a lot like Deliverance. It was about a group of lawyers who got together for a weekend of fun. They were going to go camping in the woods for a little weekend, just to get away from the office, get away from the big city and their clients, and just get away from it all. And while they're in the woods, they start getting stalked by a madman. One by one, they start getting picked off in very gruesome ways. This is a very fun movie. I really recommend this one. Hal Holbrook is in here. He's excellent in this movie. It's a really, really good movie. Nobody talks about that one. Oh, did I think I put it out of place? What the heck? Anyway, because we already did the Return, Rituals, and the Rift. They're out of order somehow. But anyway, we're moving on. The next one's called Robot Holocaust. Low budget, sci-fi, post-apocalyptic type movie. Really low budget, but it's still pretty fun. It has practical effects, bad acting, but it's a fun watch. Next one's called Saint Jack. I've never seen this movie before, so I really can't talk about it. The next one is called The Sect, and this was the first release of it. This movie came out in 1991, and I'm trying to see if there's a year where that Scorpion released it, but I don't see it on here. But anyway, they re-released it as a... Did they? Or maybe they didn't. I guess they... Yeah, they did. Why am I out of order here? Okay. Sorry about that, guys. They did re-release it as a collector's edition here with a nice slipcover. This was one of the numbered ones here, if you can see that. It was limited to 3,000. I got number 2537. Now I'm wondering if some of these were numbered and I didn't even really notice. I'm not going to go back now and waste your time, but when this video is over, I'll kind of go back and see if I missed any, and if I did, I'll show you the numbers. The next one's called Seizure. It's an Oliver Stone movie. I still have never watched this one either. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I haven't watched that one yet. Here's one called Short Eyes. This one was, it's not numbered. I think it was limited to like 1,500. This is a very creepy movie. I don't want to talk about the premise of this movie or the synopsis of the movie, but if you Google it, it's a very taboo topic, and this movie will make you feel so queasy and dirty. You're gonna feel like you need a shower when you're done. Short Eyes. The term short eyes means something too. If you Google it, you can read about that. The next one's called Shredder. I like this one. This is a snowboarding slasher movie that takes place in the wintry mountains. I really liked it. I liked this setting and everything. It was pretty cool. The atmosphere was everything in that movie. The next one's called Silent Scream with Barbara Steele, Cameron Mitchell, Yvonne DiCarlo, Avery Schreiber. There's Barbara Steele. There's Avery Schreiber, and Avery Schreiber's on the right, Cameron Mitchell on the left, Barbara Steele. I was hoping we can see Yvonne DiCarlo, who was Lily Munster, but she's not here on the back. That's not her right there. I was hoping we can see her, but that's probably her right there in the background. At least an artist's rendering of her. But anyway, moving on. So this is called Something Waits in the Dark. This is a nice little creature feature. It's an Italian monster movie with Barbara Bach, Joseph Cotton, Mel Ferrer, Cameron Mitchell. There's Barbara Bach. Tell me she's not a cutie. That's Ringo Starr's wife. Ringo Starr, the drummer for the Beatles. They've been married for like 50, 60 years. And they still both look good, and they still both look happy. That was a Very nice marriage. Happy for both of them. Considering today the average marriage lasts for 8 years. Can you believe that? 8 years. Next one's called Sorceress, starring Playboy twins Lee and Lynette Harris. Very low budget, very cheesy movie, but I still have fun with this. It's a cool cover too. The cover is better than the movie because it's not that good. I mean, the movie, the cover makes the movie look like it's amazing, and it's not that good. And, all right, keep moving on here. We have Sorority House Massacre, another kind of a killer on campus movie from 1986. Here's another one that was limited. I think it was either 1,500 or 2,000 Space Raiders. This is a fun one. I remember renting this on VHS, and I think they also showed it on HBO a time or two from 1983. Nice little sci-fi kind of adventure, family-friendly movie. Next one is Stripped to Kill, slasher movie. Kay Lenz stars in this one. Kay Lenz was another cutie, a little beautiful redhead. Here's another kind of a sword and sorcery movie, Sword of the Valiant, with Sean Connery as the Green Knight. And from what I remember, it's been a long time since I watched this, but Sean Connery wasn't in this movie very long, and let's see if they show him on the back. If I remember, I don't want to give anything away, but I think that skull right there is Sean Connery. If I remember, it's been a long time. I may have to give this a rewatch. This is a really cool slasher movie, and it has kind of a different take. So the whole movie pretty much takes place on a train that's moving, traveling, and the killer in this movie keeps changing masks because the movie takes place during Halloween, and everybody's dressed in masks, and it's like a Halloween train party type deal thing that's going on. And there's a lot of pranks going on and a lot of people wearing masks and all kinds of different things. Nobody really knows who is who. And there's a killer about, and he or she, I don't want to give it away, is finding really gruesome and creative ways to kill fellow train passengers. But he or she keeps changing masks after every kill, so nobody knows who it is. And Jamie Lee Curtis is in here. You can see her there. And I really enjoy this movie. You may notice there in the center a very young David Copperfield. He plays a small role in the movie as a magician, of all things. Okay, another water break. Here's another movie that's music driven. That's The Way of the World. This is an excellent soundtrack here. Earth, Wind and Fire, what a great band. Not only do they have a soundtrack, but they also star in the movie. You can see there's Maurice White and the rest of the guys from Earth, Wind and Fire. There's a very young Harvey Keitel. Maurice Williams is no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago. He was a legend. This movie came out in 1975, and I do recommend it. The next one here, I get these backwards. So this was the first release of Tower of Evil. I had to itch my elbow there for a minute. This is a very atmospheric movie from 1972. It takes place, like it says, Tower of Evil. And man, does it look cool. Inside, it's like an old medieval kind of rundown, spider webby tower, castle type thing. It's really cool. I love the atmosphere in this movie. The atmosphere was everything in that movie. And then they re-released it here as a, I guess, kind of a collector's edition. And I would recommend this movie if you haven't seen it. It's very, very good. 1972. Next one is a Betsy Russell movie called Tomboy. Betsy Russell, a little cutie. This one came out in 1985. Betsy Russell was in also in Private School and Avenging Angel, and she was in some of the Saw films. Hold on one second. I gotta itch my elbow there. It's dry skin. All right, so we have Too Scared to Scream. It says there has to be a morning after, but only if you survive the night before. This one came out in, what, 1985. And the next two are the same movie, another Barbara Bach movie. These are really fun movies. This is The Unseen. It says, for these many years, it has been down there breathing, eating, growling, growing, hiding, waiting, until now it has been the unseen. Kind of one of those hideous human monsters that have been chained up type movies, hillbilly redneck type stuff. 1980 this came out, and then they re-released it again with a nice slipcover, and there you can see what the unseen kind of beast creature thing looks like. See if we can see a picture of Barbara Bach. She was such a cutie, and she's still beautiful. I believe she's in her 80s now. Both her and Richard Starkey. All right, the next one's called The Wicked Die Slow, and if I remember, this was a kind of a gory, violent kind of a Western, an American Western from 1968. This one was unrated. And the last Blu-ray, before we get into the DVDs, is called The Wild Eye. He used a camera like most men use a woman. What a weird tagline. I don't think I've ever seen this. I'm going to put myself on record. I have never seen this. 1968. Don't know anything about it. I'm going to pause it here one more time, get one more drink, and then we're just going to go through this last little bit of DVDs and we'll wrap the video up. Okay, so I kind of moved them around a little bit. So I'm going to start with, I have two DVDs that are double bills. I have two double features. I'm going to start with those, and then I'll get in from the alphabetical. So the first one is called The Devil's Men Uncut, starring Donald Pleasance and Peter Cushing. Great cast. And the second one is called Terror, which has a Blu-ray release from Vinegar Syndrome. Those are fun movies. And the next one is called The Dreaming and Initiation. Next one is called Ator, The Fighting Eagle. Sword and Sandal, Sword and Sorcery. Great cover. I can assure you that the cover is better than the movie, but the movie is still fun. But that is an amazing cover. I would love to get that as a theatrical poster. 1982. Next one is called Body Melt. And this is a anthology, stage 1 hallucination, stage 2 organ failure, stage 3 body melt. I think this is, maybe this isn't a anthology. I don't remember this movie, but it looks like it's pretty gory. 1994. Yeah, so maybe this is not a anthology. I just thought it was kind of giving us 3 different tales. It's possible that that is just a regular movie. The next one is called Double Exposure. Also does have a Blu-ray release from Vinegar Syndrome. Next one is called Humongous. And we showed this one earlier on Blu-ray, so I don't have to talk too much about it, but I do like that cover. Let me see what I can't remember what the Blu-ray cover looked like. Yeah, that's not very good. That cover is not the greatest, but this one is. That's a little bit better, I think. So DVD wins that round. Now this one, I never really knew how to pronounce that first word. I've heard that word pronounced, like, I'm not kidding, like 3 different times, or 3 different ways to, pronunciate that word. I always pronounced it as Internecine Project, and that's what I'm going to call it this video. Yeah, and we're just going to move on. There's James Coburn, movie from 1974, Internecine Project, but I've heard it pronounced like 3 or 4 different ways. Next one's called The Last Grenade. This one came in a green case. I thought that was pretty cool. There's Alex Cord right there. Right there's Alex Cord. Next one is Mortuary. Chris George and Linda Day George and Bill Paxton. 3 more here. Point of Terror, starring Diane Thorne, the very curvaceous and lovely mature MILF. I think she's still with us. I'm not sure, but she's got to be up there, like probably in her 80s now. Next one is called Satan's Slave. This is the uncut, 1976. And the last one is kind of an, I think espionage type movie. Who, it's called. Elliot Gould, 1974. So that was my little Scorpion releasing. They didn't have a very big catalog, but what they released was good. I miss the Olsen brothers. Walt Olsen was the owner and proprietor of Scorpion Releasing. He passed away a few years ago. And his brother, William, or Bill Olsen, was the owner and proprietor of Code Red DVD. And those guys put out some good movies, and they're missed. They helped our collections grow. They helped us to learn about movies that we may have never known about unless they released them. So I had the honor and the privilege to be friends with both of these gentlemen, and I kept in touch with them for years, and I miss both of them. So, but they in a way they live through the movies that they left for us to watch and enjoy. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I gave you some suggestions. If there's anything I'm missing that you think I need to grab, please let me know. And to me, that's I think that's the biggest point of fun for me when I make these videos, is to interact and to get suggestions and hopefully help your collection grow with movies that you want to grab after watching these. Okay, have a good night. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. And I'll be back soon with another video. Thank you very much for watching. Later.